Welcome to another episode of Icons and Experts, where icons meet experts. Like, how cool is that? My name is 𝗕𝗂𝗄𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗀. I'm the host of this episode, and I help experts online not only become an expert in their space if they so choose, but own their space. And I get to interview incredible people like Carissa Karner, who is somebody who helps people in such a powerful way build their businesses, building confidence with their speaking, helping become more captivating speakers, using that confidence to more effortlessly sell and promote their businesses.
Absolutely.
Carissa,
Yeah.
please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello, I am Carissa Karner, as Graham said, and I'm a world-class speaking coach. And I help high-level professionals and leaders become speakers in demand so they can rock their stage, they can rock the front of their room, and they can grow their reach, their recognition, and their results with speaking.
So we've got an action-packed, exciting discussion ahead.
We sure do.
Now we're picking up actually from a previous discussion that if you want to check that out, there was so much just amazing value and all these golden nuggets that we were able to touch on, and that happened in Eleanors Community. You're all familiar with Eleanors Community. We use that as kind of a model community for us to promote ourselves in and to network. So,
and if you're not familiar with that community, we'll leave the link in the comments as well. Or if somebody who's watching can leave the link in the comments, that'd be great, so that people who don't know about Eleanor's awesome group can also go and join in there.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll link to that discussion because we're gonna cover a lot more ground or different stuff in this discussion. And besides, the big stuff, the general stuff, which is how you help people really nail down their signature story, because we know how powerful storytelling is in promoting our business or even just communications in general. But also how you help speakers overcome those barriers, whether they're like a mindset issue or just even how to communicate about their business, whether it's anxiety or just the ideas that you need to get some order and structure to, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I just posted about this morning in our group here, that so often people have anxiety about being seen. They feel very exposed. It can be intense to get out in front of people and use your voice and show your face, especially as an entrepreneur, when you need to do it over and over and over again. And what I have found with my clients and with myself too is it's not just techniques for anxiety, but it is learning those structures and skills. It's learning the process of becoming a speaker in demand, the frameworks, the structure for effective speaking, delivery skills, all of those frameworks and those pieces of the process, even having a strategy, which is part of my process. All of that also leads to confidence. So it's not just anxiety reducing techniques, but also having those skills, having the strategy and having the skill set, the world-class speaking skill set that allows you to feel more confident, because then you can lean into this like, oh, if I just follow this structure, then I know it's going to land and people are going to be able to digest what I'm saying and they're going to want to listen.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how important that is for me to hear that, because I do believe that it's so easy to think that you might have a mindset issue or that you have an anxiety issue about speaking when you just don't have the framework, the structure, and the strategy to set you up for success.
Yes.
And you mentioned that that we're going to want to do this over and over and over again. So we're going to have opportunities to hone that skill, use the tools that we can learn from you. And there's a big part of marketing your business that's about visual branding. And I know it's certainly not for everybody, but I also know how important it is. And I think everybody gets that. I think pretty much if you're in our space, online, as an expert, as an online entrepreneur, you know how important promotions are, you know how important visual branding is. And speaking is really that, I would say, one of the most powerful tools to grow your business.
I agree.
Right? So having that strategy, I'm really looking forward to digging into a little bit of that or more of that framework to even get an idea of like, what is a strategy for speaking? Like how do we know like what to plan for, what kind of speaking that we ought to be considering doing for our business?
That's such a great question. And that reminds me of honest questions that we kind of teased with at the end of our last talk, which was, how do I know where to speak for my particular business? What's the best place to speak for my particular business?
Right.
And I think as we talk today about one of the things that I wanted to speak to today is 3 powerful strategies to use speaking to grow your business. And as we talk through these strategies, one thing that you'll find is consistent with each one is to have a strategy. And so to answer Anna's question, and I think to answer your question, Graham, is that it's so important to be very clear as part of your strategy, to be very clear about what your message is, what you're going to talk about. And as an entrepreneur, you've probably already done this work, so you have a pretty clear idea of what your message is. And then who you're speaking to. So who your niche is, who your right fit audience is, who your ideal client is. But think about who those people are. Who do you want to get in front of to share your message? And have that guide your strategy so that you are choosing when you choose to speak, because it does take energy. Whether you're in an interview like this, you're showing up live by yourself, you're standing on a virtual stage, or you're standing on a literal stage, it takes energy to prepare, to deliver. And so use your energy wisely by getting in front of those people who are your ideal audience. So Graham and I were talking before, and I was saying, if you're a social media strategist and you go and you speak to presidents of banks, those people probably aren't going to care about social media strategies because they don't have time and they're focused on something else. And so if you gave the greatest, most wonderful presentation with the most fantastic skills to those people, you're going to hear crickets because it doesn't matter to them. But if you get in front of people like our community, entrepreneurs who are hungry to learn social media strategies, then you are speaking to the right people. So even when you speak for free, in a way, you're not speaking for free because you're marketing and you're going to get business.
Yeah, having a strategy so that your message lands in the right place with the right people, that is so critical because, even if you are, like you said, a social media strategist, and I hear this so much that you just need to get out and promote and you just need to go live every day, or you need to post content every day. And say you're posting on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and you're working so hard to create content and to get your message out through speaking, which takes a bit of effort, and courage, and that's not easy. You still need to be speaking to the right people, and that's part of a strategy. That's part of the preparation, right?
Yes.
And that's one of the things that you help your clients with. So these business strategies, I'm really curious about them because you mentioned that, we want to be prepared to know what our message is so that when we do speak, we're speaking to our people, the audience that we would want this message to land with. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the strategies, other like this? I think you have even 3 strategies that you talk about.
Yeah, I do. And that's what I really want to make sure we cover today is, these 3 strategies to grow your business with speaking. And I think of it as what's most available to what's kind of middle of the road available to what feels the hardest to attain. So the first strategy is to simply start speaking in the platforms that are available to you. There are so many places that you can speak right now, right at this moment. You can go and do a live on your Facebook page. You can do a live on Instagram. You can do a live on TikTok. You can go to YouTube. You can go, we have so many places that you can just show up and start speaking. And that's incredible. And then on Facebook, we have these awesome groups like this one that you can go live in. So I don't know if you know this, if you're watching, most of you do, but some of you may not, that you can go live in this group anytime. And you have an audience right here. If your audience is entrepreneurs, here's a spot for you for free with very little thought. You can pop in here and go live. I would recommend that you prepare so that when you deliver, you're delivering a strong message and not just coming on and, drifting off into the ether, because then it's not necessarily bad. You may be really interesting and people may love it anyway, but you may not be matching your message to what you really want, which I would imagine is to sell your product or service. So that is the first strategy, is to start looking for those places that you can start speaking right now that are available to you without having to find a booking agent, without having to find an event planner. They are available to you, but do it strategically. Think about the places where your audience is. If your audience is, let's see, if your audience is high level women CEOs, you are going to be more likely to find them, say, on LinkedIn than you are on Instagram. So think about things like that and build a strategy around where you show up. So that's number one. And I'll just pause there and see if you have any questions or thoughts.
I do. Thank you so much for pausing for a second, because I just had all these thoughts. So when you're talking about all of these opportunities for us to present our offer or talk about what we do, promote ourselves, it just recurred to me like, oh my God, there's so many opportunities to do that. There's so many opportunities. And as long as you're prepared, like you said, have a strategy.
Yeah.
Get your message together so that it's going to land with your audience, the right audience. All of a sudden, just the way you framed this first step, it's like, oh my gosh, like there's more than enough opportunity to start speaking about you taking a stage, going live, or even just recording a short training or something and posting it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So no, that was what came to mind, was like, oh my gosh, there is no shortage of opportunities to talk about what you do and promote live or through speaking.
And you can go into my group. So my group is Speaker in Demand, and you can go in there and you can practice anytime. So if you're worried about, say, showing up here in this group where there are going to be entrepreneurial eyeballs on what you're doing, go in my group. It's a little bit smaller. It's there for people to practice their speaking, and you can go live and fumble a little bit, or you can share a video and fumble a little bit, even ask for feedback, and not have to worry so much about doing it perfectly right out of the gate, but have a place to practice. You can also go live in my group and share your product or service. You can go live and you can share a little training. You can go live anytime or promote a video at any time in my group as well. So there are places like that too, where you might feel a little bit safer, or maybe going on your profile first, or even if you have a professional page. So our professional pages, they don't get seen very much. So that can be a really safe place to start practicing.
That's incredible. So before we move on to step number 2, what comes to mind is that because there's so many opportunities, and if you become more strategic about speaking about your business so that your message is great and it really resonates, it lands with your audience, I just want to kind of share my experience with that, which is, what if, maybe in the beginning it doesn't yield the results that you want, but you just go for it, like you use the strategies, you be consistent and do this over and over again. What if at some point, every time you took the stage and you went live, or you posted something about, something, a training or something of yourself speaking to your audience, that you got a new client every time?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't that be cool? And part of that is having the strategies to know how, when you speak, that you are speaking about your business in a way that people understand what you offer,
Mhm.
and that you are really showing them how valuable it is. So not tricking them, not fooling them,
Mm.
but really allowing that you have something that's special and you are solving a problem. And so being able to deliver that in a way that people can understand that and see that is part of the strategy.
That's we might circle back to that. I don't want to detract from our next step here, but you mentioned being tricky or something, and that's something that happens a lot in sales and marketing that unfortunately a lot of people fall victim to, because a great salesperson or marketer is going to be able to paint a picture of this grand faraway getaway holiday vacation future that you can have
Yeah.
if you buy their stuff.
Yeah.
And there is so many more powerful ways to connect to your audience, to give real value, demonstrate your expertise, and talk about what you do that is not that at all. You can even reverse that. And I just thought that was a powerful statement that you said. You don't have to do that. You don't,
Yeah.
and to feel safe, you can create a completely different environment through speaking, a different connection with your audience that isn't holding them in some fantasy state of emotion, so that the only real logical answer is to buy their product.
Hmm.
And I just love that you said that. So I just had to kind of elaborate on that. But
I think that's so valuable. And I think especially in this community, there are so many people who are very heart-centered and who want to feel aligned with their marketing, with their selling. And it can feel sometimes it can feel soul crushing to feel like, oh, I'm just selling and I'm telling
mm,
people to buy this thing. And so to learn these strategies and these skills to do it in a way that's authentic and aligned, with who you are and with your integrity as a person makes such a difference. And even to reframe the way that you're selling, that when people get to know you, when you're showing up and speaking and you're sharing yourself, that you are touching people, people do feel connected to you. And by not offering them a way to take you home, or by not offering them a way to do more with you, that you're doing them a disservice, that you are withholding something from them that they actually would really like as part of their lives. That's like saying, oh, have you ever tasted delicious ice cream? Well, here, have a taste, but now you can't have any more because I don't want to sell it to you because I'd feel bad.
yeah, no, that is not how we want to make people feel, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, and that we know it's part of the world that we're in, as far as sales and marketing, but do not have to do that. You can actually talk about what you do from the heart, captivate your audience, really give value, and get clients. I mean, that is the
Yes.
bottom line. And
Yes, it is.
I know that there are people actually that are in our audience right now, that are watching, that are now starting, because of these discussions that we're having, are now becoming more and more inspired to speak. And they are literally, yeah, and they're literally getting clients every time they speak. And that's why I brought up this example, because that is possible. If you're
Yeah.
thinking that, no, I just don't know if I can do that. And so there's a voice in you that's saying, I can't, or I won't be received, or my message won't land, or how will I know that I can do this? Well, I think that's exactly what we're talking about. There's a structure and a strategy. So I'll just kind of give it back to you and we'll go on with the strategy. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, great. Yeah, there is a structure and a strategy to that. And that the more you practice, the more you'll get better. The more you practice, the more you get better. And if nobody's paying, you feel like, or it seems like nobody's paying attention the first few times, that's okay. You're just building your skill. You're building your skill. And even as you start to practice the strategies and structures, you may find the first few times you do it, it feels a little robotic or you're not quite sure how to do it. But the next time you'll be a little bit better and a little bit better. And when you have a place to practice, or you have a coach like me to help you practice, we can practice without the pressure of an audience so that you can really hone that skill before you're going live, if that's something that would help you.
Right. I did. That was like, I cut my own sentence off before. I was going to mention that, it does take practice and consistency and getting out there and the enthusiasm and the excitement and the, just the willingness. But if you really want to get after it and you want to go fast and you want to really get it, then you're going to work with Carissa for sure.
It will speed up the process. It will. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the second strategy to grow your business with speaking. And that is to get out and speak for free. Now, you may think, oh, it's so much work to put together a signature talk or a keynote. I don't know if I want to speak for free. And you don't have to. You certainly don't have to. So I'm not saying you have to speak for free in order to get paid to speak, but there are free speaking opportunities. So if you start to look in your communities and reach out to people, and there are techniques of how to do that, how to reach out to people, how to find the right people to reach out to. But there are places like even your local Chamber of Commerce or Kiwanis Club, places like that, local associations that may not pay speakers, but you can go and speak for free. And if you do it strategically, so this is what I recommend, is don't ever speak for free to people who are never going to be interested in what you have to offer, unless you just want to get out there and practice. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to get out there and practice and you don't care who you talk to, you're just honing your talk, that's fantastic. And if you want your talk to really have value and to be able to potentially make money from your talk, even when you're speaking for quote unquote free, then think about getting in front of audiences who either A, will book you to speak for money, or B, will be interested in your product or service. So that way, even when you're speaking for free, you're continuing to grow your business and you're continuing to grow the opportunities for speaking. So that would be the number 2 strategy of how to grow your business with speaking, is start speaking for free in these bigger stages. So not just going live in social media, but looking for bigger stages. Summits are another place that you can speak for free. Again, I would do that very, very strategically. Sometimes you can prepare a lot for a summit and then, nothing happens. Nobody watches, or you don't even get any sign up. You get 1 or 2 signups on your mailing list. So think about very strategically about those choices, but that can be a way to grow your business. That would be number 2.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that actually was a question that I had about, sort of navigating that field of like, where do we speak that is relevant to our business? And that really answered that question, or at least it gave some guidelines to consider, so that even if you're speaking for free, which is still a great way to promote your business, and certainly like even going live on social media, that's free. And if you can get the message right, then it's going to yield results. But to be strategic about it and make sure that the stages you're taking are going to either be for, just being clear, is it going to be for practice, or are you speaking to the right audience?
Yes.
Just something really important to be aware of.
Yes. And because it is an energy, expenditure. So, if we think about energy as currency, that we only have so much, our energy tanks are only so full. We only have so many hours in the day. And so also to think about how you want to how you want to spend your energy currency. Do you want to spend it speaking for free to an audience that may not be interested in you? Or do you really want to take that energy, maybe work with a coach like me, get that speech prepared so well that you can go and start delivering it to the people who actually are going to be interested in buying your product or service, or they are going to be interested in booking you for another speaking engagement. So to think about how you want to spend your energy currency. And then, of course, there is the third strategy of how to grow your business with speaking. And this, I think, is one of the most powerful ones, which is going out to bigger and better stages and getting paid to speak. So when you start getting paid to speak, it's so cool because you can be out there. You're out there just by being you and speaking. You are marketing. So you're marketing. You're not having to pay for marketing, but you're marketing and you're getting paid to market your business. How amazing is that? It's incredible. This becomes another revenue stream for you. And you're building your business. You oftentimes, when you speak, you can sell your product from the stage. And there are ways to do that where it doesn't feel icky, that it feels really just like an organic part of your talk. Sometimes people will not allow that, especially when you're getting paid to speak, but you are still up there being you and speaking your message, and people will seek you out and they will want to work with you. And so when you start getting paid to speak, when you have the strategies and the skills to be able to do that, that's what will really explode your business.
That is so awesome. I'm just thinking about how important it is to understand your strategy so that when you do take a stage and you understand the parameters, right? There's certain things you can do and can't do on certain stages, but still knowing how to get that message to land so well, either through storytelling, or maybe if you're not allowed to sell from the stage, you can still do that through your message. You can still really get
Exactly.
your, yeah, you can really connect with your audience in a way that says, gosh, that is, I understand what that person's mission and what their message is, and I'm going to pursue them because of what they said, even though they didn't necessarily give a straightforward offer
Yes,
in that message. And
exactly.
so through these three steps, what I'm imagining is um, this trajectory of being an expert or an entrepreneur. There's this roadmap that if you were able to really map it out and to identify those milestones that we take along this road, this adventure of entrepreneurship, uh, it's probably mostly the case that if you are consistent and continue to develop the skill for speaking, that you will inevitably take larger and larger stages.
Absolutely. I mean, opportunities will start falling in your lap. I mean, that's what happened to me with my TEDx is because I just got myself out there and started speaking. I was asked to do a TEDx, and that's how I was able to get on the TEDx stage. So yes, opportunities will fall into your lap. And if speaking is something you want to do, like if this is resonating for you of, oh, I really see how speaking can grow my business, then I recommend getting a robust strategy together. I can teach you how to do that, but getting a robust strategy together for how you are going to speak on these bigger stages, because there are so many opportunities. When, say, your speaker fee is, $10,000, $15,000, and somebody comes to you or you talk to an event planner and they say, hey, our budget is only 5,000. Then you can start negotiating and you can say, okay, well, I'll think about taking that lower. I'll think about reducing my fee if you can provide me professional photographs, if you will allow me to sell my material for the stage. How does that sound? And so there are so many ways to get paid, not just in dollars, but to have video, to have pictures, to be able to put on your website, that you spoke to this amazing company. All of these ways that really help grow your business. Those photographs, that video, that alone will help you grow your business. That will help you get more opportunities. And so when you have that strategy to know how to find those speaking engagements and know what steps to take to talk to the right person, that's when those doors start opening for you. You do have to have a strategy and know what to do to get to those people.
Yeah, and that just is so encouraging because you just kind of illustrated that road ahead and how to prepare for it.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're going to be a speaker, and I'm imagining, like, for myself, one day when I reach this point, I would love to, and I'm talking about who I was even just 6 months or a year ago, imagining, the thought comes into mind, wouldn't it be awesome to like take the TED stage, right? I have
Yeah.
ideas. I think I have big ideas. Wouldn't it be awesome to take that stage?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool to also in your bio to have just that one word in your bio that says speaker?
Hmm.
And then, I'm kind of walking it backwards and reflecting on this road towards wherever you want to go in your business as an entrepreneur, and being able to identify those landmarks, but walking it backwards to thinking about the possibilities of this happening. And so what if I just prepared for that TED stage? What if I just made this big goal? Because I think it's important to think in these terms. There is this idea that I hold true, this philosophy that I really subscribe to, I believe in, which is, if you have a really big goal, and like, it's really important to have that big goal, like shoot big, go for that 10x goal, because it's so easy to get distracted by an easier path to lesser goals. So you
Hmm.
don't necessarily want your goal to be I'm just going to go live 4 times a week. And if you set your sights on this bigger goal, like taking a TED stage or becoming a speaker that's paid $5,000, $10,000 for an engagement, then you're going to prepare for that. And it's not about actually obtaining that goal, because you don't know where life's going to take you. You might decide, well, that's really, I'm doing so many other things that's kind of off the table. But because I prepared for that, because I set that goal, look at what I've become. I've become such a better speaker. I'm so much more confident. I'm so
Yeah.
much more clear in just how I communicate about my business.
Yeah.
And I didn't get caught up or distracted by these lesser goals that would have taken me away from becoming a better speaker.
Yeah, that's so true. I saw Ann Carden post about that, almost the same thing this morning about, every step you take in your business is a valuable step, even if it doesn't lead you where you thought it was going to take you.
Mhm.
It's valuable. And you're so right. If you invest that energy and that time into a big goal like a TEDx, and then you choose not to apply for TEDx stages, well, then you've already got a 20-minute speech that you can turn into your signature speech. You've got the speaking skills, you've got the speaking strategies, and you have so many valuable tools in your toolbox that when you start to really learn how to speak and you start learning those strategies, it's not just for one speech. It's for every time you speak for the rest of your life. It's so powerful. And you do want to do a TEDx, right?
I
You said you have
do. I
many
do.
big
That's why I'm like,
ideas.
that's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
going with this. I mean, and I'm just imagining, let's say I set that goal and I go for it, right? I prepare for it and life takes me in a different direction. What if I actually decide that that's really not part of my business plan at this point? I've gone in a different direction, but gosh, look at what I've accomplished in preparing for that. Look at what I've become.
And I mean, maybe how cool if you have that and you also do the TEDx, because
Right?
it's totally
Why not?
possible.
Totally.
Why not? If you have a great, if you have, and sometimes it takes someone to help you. If you have the ability to hone a big idea that you can take to the TEDx stage. So with TEDx, it's important to have an idea that is unique. So there are so many TED Talks now that it's important to have something new, something that's slightly interesting. Maybe you're just connecting two things in a different way, but to not do the same TED Talk that somebody else has already given. And that can be more difficult, more challenging now because there are so many. And so sometimes it helps to have another brain kind of percolating with you to make sure your big idea is something that is going to be enticing for the license holder who would be booking you for the TEDx event. But having somebody help you figure out that big idea, and then walking you through, giving you the strategies for how to craft that speech, helping to keep you accountable so you practice it so that it is, because if you walk on that TED stage, you want it to be really well practiced. You want to know exactly what you're saying, what you're doing, how to deliver it well. And when you have all of that and you know where to apply and how to apply, like, why not just go and do the TEDx? I mean, it's totally possible for you, Graham. It's totally possible. All you need is the strategies and you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, it is now one of my goals. So, and just walking it backwards again, uh, and just taking the steps, right? Learning the strategies, getting a coach, learning the skill sets and how to craft that message that lands with the audience. All of those things in preparation. Um, you can really build a business in preparing for that big goal and have so many
Yeah.
benefits along the way, right? So if they
Yes.
set the goal of like, okay, I'm going to go live or at least post some kind of visual branding content, like, I'm going to do a brief training and I'm going to do some Instagram lives or just post some video there or on Facebook or both 4 times a week. And in the beginning, the result is, well, you're only getting maybe 1 client a week. Based on that, that's 4 clients a month.
Mm-hmm.
What if you start to increase, your skills develop, your message gets more concise, clear, impactful, you become more captivating in the way you
Mm-hmm.
deliver, and you start to get 2 clients a week. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kind of painting this picture because this is actually what's happened for me
Wow.
just by making the decision to use the tools that are available to us. But if you really want like the pro tools, because there's like, I used to be in construction. I was a builder for a lot of years. And it's really clear like what level, skill level somebody is by their tool set. Like you look at their tools and it's like, there's the homeowner set. That's kind of a little rinky dink stuff. You know, it's just not that, you know, not quite the tools you need to build a house necessarily. You could build a birdhouse or a doghouse or a shed or something. But then the big tools, the real tools, are different, and you need to be able to like commit to learning how to use the bigger tools, to take the bigger stages, and get help, and don't do it alone. And you said that.
Yes. I love that analogy, the difference between the homeowner's tool set and the professional's tool set. That anybody can go live on Instagram anytime. Anybody, whether they have a business or not, anybody can go live, and people do. And they just, they just talk and whatever. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
That's the homeowner's tool set. Or going out and wanting to grow your business, but only having the homeowner's tool set, you may not be as strategic or as effective as you could be with the professional tool set. But then you also have to have somebody teach you or show you, be your mentor of how to use those professional tools.
That is so true. And there is, I hope that our audience really gets that message, because you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like that, if you have that hesitation or that trepidation, a little bit of anxiety, you can feel really alone in that.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
That could just stop you from doing it. And we all have one of these guys. It's all you really need. That's a professional tool these days. The camera, I mean, here's the thing. Here's another perspective I'd like to get your feedback on, because to actually like have an effective visual branding system, you might think that you need a fancy camera. You might need this, I mean, I have this ginormous mic right here, but it didn't cost $1 bajillion. It was like a good deal on Amazon. It was a couple $100 for the arm, the mic and the cord, and it was like a package thing. And I'm using my laptop, and we all have these phones with incredible cameras on it. And I mean, look at the state of me. I'm not like, I mean, sure, I had this kind of hipster office and stuff, but I'm a carpenter. I built it, whatever. You don't need that. My point is, I think we might need less professionalism and more authenticity, more heart, and just a better delivery of our message. And you don't have to invest in a $5,000 camera and a fancy mic and fancy equipment and fancy shirts to have an impact and to get your message out there. Well, can you just give me a little feedback on that? Because I think I'm not sure if I'm on the market.
I agree 100%. And my heart is so invested in supporting people to find their voice and speak, and that you don't have to have a fancy mic. I mean, yeah, I have this fancy mic, but I also have a $40, whatever, $50 blue snowball, blue Yeti, whatever those are called, blue Yeti snowball. And that's a great mic, but I've recorded videos for my course just on my computer. You can get a lapel mic for like 10 or $20 on Amazon. If you have nothing but a phone, even if you have a phone that's 4 years old, just record yourself speaking. It's more about your message and your delivery than it is about your equipment. That's icing on the cake. And as you speak more, you may think, oh, wow, there is something really cool that happens with a fancy mic. I hear the difference and I want my voice to have that. And, now you've got several clients because you've been speaking and your income is growing. And so then you can get the fancy equipment, but you do not need it. You don't need it. And if you want to get out on stages and speak, even virtual stages, there are some things that you might need for virtual events. There may be a little bit of equipment that you need, but just to do lives, and if you want to get out on live stages, you certainly don't need equipment for that.
That's encouraging. And I think that, I actually remember reflecting back that I literally thought I had to have fancy equipment. And then one day it just clicked, and I heard, I can't remember who I heard just help me with that understanding. Just, you don't really need that. You really need more of a skill set and strategies that are not necessarily the tech, right?
Yes, and I was thinking back to your tool analogy
Mhm.
of the homeowner's tool set versus the professional tool set. The professional tool set, the tools are what's important, right? Not the case that they're in, not the belt that you put around your waist and you put the tools into. It's the tools themselves. And I think of like the case that the tools maybe come in, or the belt that you, whether it's a, I don't know how much those belts cost, but like your tool belt is like the $10 version or the $500 version. That's not what matters. It's those professional tools. And when it comes to speaking, the professional tools are your message, your speaking structures, your ability to deliver, and your ability to be yourself and connect with an audience. Those are your professional tools. And the strategy. Can't forget the strategy of knowing how to get on those stages.
I'm so glad you put that together, because that is the case. That is exactly what, that was the point I was trying to get at, and you said so perfectly, which is those are the tools. It
Yeah.
is your message, it is your strategy, and um, those are the things we really need to focus on, not the equipment,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
So often I know this happens for me as an entrepreneur, that I can get sidetracked by fancy things or things that, it's way more fun, or maybe way safer is a better word. It feels way safer to shop on Amazon for the perfect mic than it does to just get in front of the camera and start speaking. And so we can get very distracted by those safer activities that really aren't necessary, but they're ways, those scared parts of us are like, well, let's just shop on Amazon for a while because we surely shouldn't do this until we have the perfect camera and the perfect lighting and the perfect mic. Those are just tools to distract you from just getting out and using your voice, because it can be scary. If it's new for you and you feel scared, that's totally, totally normal. If you've been doing this for a while and you feel like, I know how to do this and I'm not scared, but I don't know that I have the strategies for my message to land, that's normal. Or I do know how to speak. I feel very confident, but how do I get to bigger stages? All of those places along the way are absolutely normal to have those questions and not have the answers.
I love that. And I mean, I'm going to be totally like honest about like my, where I was getting hung up with this early on, because you mentioned the shopping on Amazon. And
Yeah.
so I would go on YouTube first, do a bunch of research, watch those videos, like the equipment, like all like the equipment comparisons and the best cameras to get for doing this. And then, then I would listen to somebody say, look, your camera can be your phone camera, sorry, your phone can really be the camera that you use. Look at how this is your phone, this is a professional camera. You can do it with your phone. I have
Mhm.
an old MacBook. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I'm going to show everybody my lighting system. This is my old, now this used to come with me under houses and working in dark corners of construction sites, and a piece of parchment paper. That's literally, and I mean, I love this thing. And this, you can buy a desk lamp for $100, or you can use what you have.
Yes, use what you have. And everybody has a window. Everybody has a window the
Yeah,
light
it's a
shines
natural light.
through.
I'm sitting in front of a window.
Yeah. So, I mean, Graham, I love that. I love how you repurpose that. And I love how you are using one of your professional tools from your other profession
Yeah,
as one of your professional tools in this profession. That is really cool.
yeah.
And if you don't have that, just stand in front of a light, a window. Let the light shine on your face. Stand in front of the window, let the light shine on your face, or go outside. Get a lapel mic and go outside. Because if you don't have a lapel mic and you go outside and there's wind, it will be likely hard to hear you. But the lapel mics are super cheap. You can get one that plugs right into your phone. Go outside, let the sun shine on your face. There are so many free light sources.
Okay, I kind of want to bring this back to the big message that we wanted to give our audiences today, which is about speaking to grow our business. And
Mhm.
speaking and going live, like, well, I mean, there's different forums for our voice being heard. There's podcasts,
Mhm.
um, and speaking is very much a visual thing. Like taking a stage can also take the form of going live, like we're doing an interview,
Mhm.
going live on your own, recording a short training or a VSL, something like that. Um, the I just want to kind of frame it in this idea of visual branding, and how valuable that is. I think it's particularly in the looking into the future of marketing your business and using the internet, and the more and more relevant that becomes to every kind of business. You even talked about the banker. I think that even social media strategies, visual branding is going to become more and more important to even those businesses that traditionally it was not previously.
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah.
So visual branding is something that I think, in my opinion, is something that everybody should consider very seriously.
Mhm.
And if you're going to do it, becoming a better speaker is going to be that tool. That tool, speaking as one of the primary tools to grow your business.
Yes. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a solopreneur, especially if you're a small business owner, if you're an author, if you're somebody who is a professional in another place, like if you're, I'm a therapist as well. I don't know if everybody knows that about me, but I'm also a psychotherapist, and psychotherapist, a doctor, a surgeon, and you want to get your research out there. There are so many reasons to go and speak, and you are your brand. So your face, your energy, your story in all of those categories is part of your brand.
Now, here's an interesting question, because not everybody is, it's just not in their wheelhouse. They're not going to use live speaking to grow their business. I'm wondering if you can, well, one of the projects that I'm currently working on with my partners is something called 𝗬𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗀𝗍𝗏, where we can take the stage for you and do some visual branding for you. Now, you still have to be, if you're going to work with somebody, you're going to want to know that they're good and they've had the training.
Yeah.
And they have the skill set to represent your message. And I kind of want to talk to the entrepreneurs that have been around for a little while, who it's just not in their wheelhouse. It's just not one of their proficiencies to be, to take the stage live, to use visual branding, to speak live. And I also know that there are some entrepreneurs that do not want to allow somebody else to represent them. And so I'm wondering if there's a message for those entrepreneurs that they can actually work with other promoters to help them with their visual branding, even do visual branding with them or for them.
I mean, I don't think I have a message for those people, because the people that I work with are the ones who want to step out or see the value in stepping out and speaking more about their business. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity. There are people, I'm an introvert. There are people who just, it is not going to happen. They do not want to show up on video. They don't even want to speak in front of other people. And if that's you, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've felt that way at times in my life, and that's great. And this, the crowd, is it crowd scaling?
It's 𝗬𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗀𝗏𝗏.
Crowd scale is an amazing opportunity for that. And how cool that there is a way that people who don't want to have to do that in their business, that they can not have to and still be very successful. And that's fantastic. In terms of how I might speak to that is just like, grab that opportunity. If that's you and you don't want to speak, grab it. But if you at all want to be the face of your brand, if you are connected to your brand, if what you are offering is a service, I recommend letting people get to know you and see you. Because you think about how you feel and how this relates for you. But, if I'm buying Graham's service, I don't know that I want, Sally next door to sell it to me, because I don't know anything about Graham or who he is. And if he's going to work with me one-on-one or in a small group or some way that's more intimate, or he's going to teach me something, I want to know that I can trust him and that I can have a connection with him. And so if that's you, then think about, even if you do go with 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗏 and you have other people help you promote, think about, how can you take some baby steps to let people get to know you so that they can make that connection with you and trust you. And there are ways to do that that aren't going to blow out your nervous system if you're very introverted, that you don't have to be out big and loud in front of everybody. You can do that on a smaller scale that's more aligned with who you are.
I'm so glad you brought that up, particularly, about being an introvert. I know that I have been, and it really was a big barrier for me to feel comfortable or confident in talking about what I do, going live and using visual branding. So there is a tremendous power or liberation that comes along with using your voice, actually using your voice
Yes.
and helping you develop your message.
Yes.
Is something really unique about speaking, about that tool in and of itself. And there's something that I've noticed that about people who claim to be shy and introverted, that even if they're given the opportunity to speak, like using their voice and speak into the camera and speak to an audience, I've literally felt like those people are the most like amazing. It's just beautiful to hear them say something about like genuine or something sincere about their experience. And it's like, wow, you're an introvert, you're shy, but the way you connect with your audience is so powerful. There's something there that just needs a place to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes some strategies to manage the nervous system. Because I think for people who are at least this is true for me, feeling very shy, very introverted, having the strategies to manage the nervous system, because that's what happens, the nervous system goes, and this is my therapist side talking, the nervous system goes into fight, flight, or freeze. And when that happens, it can be very difficult even to show up on camera or to step on stage. It can feel like a life or death situation. And so to have strategies to manage the nerves, calm down, those strategies at that point in somebody's journey with speaking can be very, very helpful. I do have a little course. In fact, it's about to go up. So it's about to go up in price on Sunday, but I have a little course still available at an early investor discount. And so if somebody's interested in that, leave me a message. I'll link it actually in the comments. But I have a lot of strategies in that course of how to calm your nervous system before you speak.
Now you have a couple of different programs, a couple of different things that you offer for speakers. It's really exciting. I'm just paying attention to our chat here, and Agnes says, speaking of, I lost it, but she said something along the lines of, speaking of introverts, is there hope for people who want to speak? And I mean, I just have to chime in and say yes, because when I hear somebody who's shy or introverted speak, I mean, almost every time it's like, wow, you need to do that more. Like, you need to speak more, because like what you said was beautiful. It's often those introverts that have like the biggest message, the most like beautiful message, just like right there at the surface.
And know how to connect. I think often to introverts, actually, because we are, I'm speaking for myself again, because we are so much more introspective, we know how to connect. And so you likely have innate skills of how to connect your message on camera and how to feel connected to people, because you know how to connect, like you understand what that even means.
So I want to kind of put these two pieces together, and then we can maybe wrap up, and you can leave our audience with more details about how they can work with you, because even just like your free stuff, even what you give in these interviews is like so super valuable. But if we really want to get after the strategy, if we really want to get to understand what those tools are, so that we can regulate our nervous system, so that we can get, kind of melt those walls and those barriers to get out there and speak more. You'll give us the details on that. But I have these two takeaways, or these two pieces that I'd like to just mention and get your feedback, which is, one is developing more confidence through understanding the strategy, understanding the steps for that person who's wondering, gosh, can I do this? is there hope? Well, yes, there is, because there is strategy, there is a system to follow, there are practices and exercises. And the other part of it is, you know, it's so easy to forget that I guess it's the use of the voice, it's the speaking, it's the actual doing, it's the putting yourself out there that is actually a big part of it. It's, if you want to grow or stretch yourself or get different results, a big part of it is the action of just doing it. But like, don't go winging it like that, because that can be really, like, that can actually discourage you and make you feel even like more scared, because it's like, gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's both, right? You got to get the strategy, and then you just have to go do it, because the act of actually using your voice and speaking and putting yourself out there, I think it changes you every time you do that.
I completely agree. Not only that, but tell me if you relate to this, but I find that the more I speak about what I do, the tighter and stronger my message gets. The more I share techniques and things that I teach, the better I am at teaching them. Every time I speak, I grow more deeply into my message. I grow more deeply into what I can offer. I become a better teacher and a better communicator.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. But I also know that I'm being intentional. Like, I do want to become a better speaker. So I know that every time I go out, I used to be really, like, I used to literally avoid going back and listening to the recordings. I would avoid doing that, because it's like, I'm not going to put myself through listening to my own ramblings, right? But now I do, because even just through working with you at the level that we are, I'm able to go back and measure, am I taking the steps? Am I using the strategies? Am I hitting these little marks? Am I practicing? Am I putting into practice the things that I know that I ought to be practicing? And I can actually measure that. And so it's a lot like testing and just saying, okay, I did that. You know, it's like baking, like practicing your cookie recipe. Well, I kind of see what I got wrong this time. I'm going to change that and do, you know, make it a little better next time.
Yes, and I really encourage you to go and look at anything that you've done on video.
Mhm.
If you're on stage, you know, record it so you can watch it back. But I highly recommend that people do that.
Mhm.
I know it can be for some people excruciating. But what I want to add to that, Graham, is to not just look for where you can improve,
Mhm.
but really, like, honestly look at what you do well,
Mm.
because there's something about going back. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone, oh, I don't feel good about that at all. And I go and I watch it back and I think, oh, that was actually okay. You know, oh, I did this well and I did that well. And so then I'm building myself up. I'm being my own cheerleader. You know, I'm being my own, that's why TED Talk is about being your own best friend. I'm being my own best friend by saying, oh yeah, Carissa, here's a spot that you can work on, and let's try and do this. Let's try and hone this skill a little bit more. And here are all these things you did really well. Keep doing that. That was great.
Mhm. Gosh, I think that's like probably the big takeaway, because if you could do that, if you can actually set yourself up that way, like, today, I'm going to be my best friend. I'm going to encourage myself. I'm going to celebrate the fact that I've done this. And hey, even like, gosh, even if you haven't gotten a client through your speaking, that if I set myself up for it, it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then when it does happen, you know you did something right. You know that
Yeah.
something's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so I just think, like, to me, that's like what you just said is the big takeaway for me, which is
Oh,
celebrate what you did right, be your best
yes.
friend,
Yes.
set yourself
Celebrate
up.
just showing up. Celebrate that you showed up. You
Yeah.
showed up and let people see you. Celebrate that. That's huge.
And honestly, if you are the person that um that has the goal in mind to be a speaker, to promote yourself using visual branding and speaking, um, get after it. Like, go for it, do it. Like, it's actually one of those things that if it is in your wheelhouse, then it's almost as if you're obligated to do it, that to promote what you do. There are people out there that need to hear your voice. They need to hear like that message that is, is in there.
Yes. And that only you can deliver in the way you deliver it.
Right.
Only you can share your message in the way that you'll share it. Nobody else has your life experience. Nobody else is you except for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the time and I
Yeah.
think we probably should wrap up. Is it okay if I share a little bit about what I do offer? Is that okay with you?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. And is that okay with you listening, watching? So typically what I tell speakers to do is have only one call to action. So I'm going to break my own rule and share with you two different programs that I have. I already talked to you a little bit about my course. So now I'm telling you 3 calls to action, but I'll drop a link to my course. And then my 2 main programs are that I'm just opening one for, it's a 30-day speaker fast track. So I'm realizing there are a lot of people who want to do a TEDx, or they want some help on something quickly. A lot of times people will come to me and say, I have a speech that I have to do in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And so it's important to have that speaker fast track. And so in 30 days, we can focus on one thing together. That may be, starting to prepare your TEDx and talking about strategy for how you're going to apply and get that TEDx on the red dot. You will stand on that red dot. Or it could be that you want to craft a signature speech or a keynote, or you want to be able to hone and deliver very well one that you've already started working on. Or if you just want to start working on that speaker strategy. So a lot of the things that we've talked about today, Graham and I, is about really creating that strategy for how you're going to use speaking to grow your business. So if we work together for 30 days, we can only work on one of those things. You can only do so much in 30 days. But I have that program, and then I have a longer program. So if you really want a robust strategy, you want help over 6 months, we can work together in a very deliberate way and begin to use speaking to grow your business like gangbusters, to create a much larger speaking strategy for you of how you're going to start speaking on bigger stages, getting in front of more people, getting paid to speak, and having that signature speech that is going to be kick ass. Excuse my language. Can we say that on Facebook? Or would we have language barriers on Facebook? I don't even know. So those are my 2 main offers. And if that's something you want to talk to me more about, you just let me know in the comments, or you can reach out to me anytime.
Carissa, thank you so much. Speaking to grow your business is it, I mean, if that's what you want, it is inevitable. Just do it, get the help, work with Carissa. You will take bigger and bigger stages. If that's what you want, Carissa is your person. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I'm sure the audience does as well.
I just love talking to you, Graham. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you listening. Anybody who's here live or watching the replay, it's such a pleasure to be with you.
It really is. And so if anybody has any questions for Carissa at all, we're going to continue this conversation in the chat. We'll see you there. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Have a great day, Carissa. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.